The New York Knicks will not win the championship this year, and I'll go as far as to say they will not win a championship with this current core. Now, why is that? Well, I have three main reasons. Number one, they have a horrible defense that I don't believe can be fixed with a trade. Number two, they have a very ball-dominant, stagnant offense, which is pretty crazy because they have some great offensive pieces. And my final reason is this team is just built around two cones, two defensive liabilities. Now, let me preface this video because I don't want to make Knicks fans mad. I don't want to come off as a hater. I just am here to speak the truth. I really like the Knicks as a organization. As long as they're not versing my Detroit Pistons, I am kind of rooting for them. I like Brunson because I like undersized guards. I'm myself am short, so. And I've always been a fan of Cat. Both of them are amazing offensive engines, but that's kind of it. The point of me making this video is not to say, hey, this team is bad. They can't compete on a night-to-night basis. That's not what I'm saying. This team is very clearly just a regular season team. I don't think they have the juice or anything needed to win a championship. And if you're a Knicks fan, honestly, that's all right. Still, winning games every year is a good thing, but I don't believe that this core will ever make it the full way. Now, my first reason as to why this team will not win a championship is because of their horrible defense. Now, the advanced statistics don't really back my argument up. I understand that they're 19th in defense, which isn't horrible, but every single championship team over the past 6 years has a top 10, if not top 15 defense. And normally you could say, hey, they have the number 3 offense. Well, I'll get into that later. That makes up for the bad defense. It doesn't. This team is worse than that 19th best defense actually tells you. And I think all of the holes in this defense have been getting exposed ever since Josh Hart went out with an injury. And maybe I'm overreacting because when Josh Hart was playing, this defense didn't really look that bad. He patched a bunch of the holes, but I just don't think that he can do it all by himself. The biggest reason as to why this team is just bad at defense is honestly they're just soft. I know that's not a statistic or anything, and that's not a real backup to my argument, but hear me out. It's not shocking that they're soft because they do have Brunson and Cat. Brunson, again, being tiny, Cat being, Cat. And since they're both on the court all of the time, basically, you can't hide the both of them. So the team ends up just being soft on defense. You see a ton of defensive lapses from the two of them. As soon as a team that is very, very physical comes into Madison Square Garden, they instantly get flustered. If you start bumping Karl Anthony Towns, if you start going at Brunson, if you put them both in actions, they will get tired very quickly. They will start to give up points. I mean, if you watch the game footage that I'm putting up on screen, you'll notice exactly what I'm saying. If this team goes up against a quick guard or anyone, honestly, who's just quick and can drive to the basket, they get pretty much just smoked. And maybe you're saying oh, they have Mitchell Robinson out there, they have Anunoby, they have Mikal Bridges. Maybe those 3 players can patch some of the holes. No, they can't. Because those two are just so bad at defense, which I'm going to go into a little further in depth later in the video, but the whole team just does not work. They've built this team fully around the offense, which is also not that good. I'll get into that in a second. My main reason for making this video is I was thinking about this, and I was like, they can't go anywhere. They basically have just locked themselves into this for the future. The reoccurring thought in my head when I was making this video was, where can they go? What trade can they make? Basically nothing. They can't really trade for anyone who would make their starting lineup, much less be their 8th, 7th best man. They gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Honestly, that Mikal Bridges trade was one of the worst trades I have ever seen with my own 2 eyes, and I was awake for the Luka Doncic trade. At least you could say that Nico Harrison was colliding with the NBA. You could make up all these rumors on how it was rigged and, oh, they wanted Luka to go to the Lakers. You can't make up anything like that for the Mikal Bridges trade. They just gave 5 first-round picks to the Nets. And in hindsight, that's very clearly a bad move, but in the moment, it was a bad move. The new apron was coming into effect. I guess you could say maybe nobody really understood the impact that it would have, but it was bad. It's the same way I feel about the Desmond Bane trade. But I mean, they don't have anything to give up for somebody to make this defense a little bit better. And, even if they did, their offense would get worse, which it's the only thing keeping them afloat right now. Their offense is the reason why they're, I don't know, third or second in the standings. I don't know when this video is going to come out. The Celtics are making a push. I mean, if they did trade for somebody who is a better defender, it would take away minutes from somebody who is a good offensive player. And, I mean, their offense isn't that good right now. That's my next point. Their offense is stagnant. A lot of the possessions I have been watching over the past few days while I was making this video, it's basically just iso ball with Brunson, and I thought that would change under the Mike Brown offense, but it really hasn't. When it gets into the end stretch of the game, the ball's always in Brunson's hands, and they don't really run actions for some of their other offensive players. They just give the ball to Brunson, and a lot of the time they just dribble out the shot clock. I mean, every single time they go up against a semi-good defense, they have a ton of turnovers, and they just look horrible. And again, if they go up against a physical defense, I was watching the Pistons game, it turns into iso ball as well. Once you start bumping some of the other players and you start pressing them full court, Brunson just carries the ball for 24 seconds. And then maybe he'll throw a grenade to Mikal Bridges, who is not playing that well this season. It just feels like this team never really moves as a unit. They all move as individuals. Sometimes maybe 3 of them are moving together, but they always leave 1 or 2 behind. Sometimes Mikal Bridges is just stuck in the corner. Sometimes that's OG Anunoby. I mean, OG Anunoby can't really do anything with the ball, so I don't blame them. Every single time he seems to dribble, it causes a turnover. That's me over-exaggerating. Obviously, I'm a fan of OG Anunoby, but you can't say I'm that wrong. And I don't think that this is fully Brunson's fault. I do think that this is an issue with the system. I think they could change it, but they're a little stuck in their ways. I mean, I would like more usage out of Cat, out of Mikal Bridges. Why go get Cat and Mikal Bridges if you weren't going to use them fully? But overall, I think defenses have just caught up with this system. And, every single night they have a chance to win because they have Brunson and Cat, and they have a ton of talent on their roster, but they just aren't that good of a team. They have a ton of talent that maybe can overpower the other team. That's it. But, I mean, speaking of that talent, it's time for my final point on why I don't believe this team will win a championship. Brunson and Cat are the faces of this franchise. When you have one face of the franchise that is a defensive liability, it's extremely hard and almost impossible for you to win a championship. The only defensive liability that is the face of the franchise for one of the last few champions is maybe you could say Nikola Jokic, although he gets hidden and he's not that bad of a defender. Maybe Steph Curry in, 2022? But even then, he is not that bad of a defender. If you watch Steph Curry, especially back then, he's not bad. At least not as bad as Jalen Brunson. When you traded for Karl Anthony Towns, the thought in your mind was basically, hey, we have Jalen Brunson and we have Karl Anthony Towns. We can outscore the other team. And like I said, sometimes that is true. Sometimes you will overpower the other team with talent. But, when you verse the Pistons without one of their stars, I think it was Duren and also Harris was out, and you guys just look horrible because they have a defense that can read both of those players and shut them down, and now you can't do anything. And then the Pistons go and drop 130 on your head because, hey, you can't defend anything. I mean, it's just pretty insane. Their offense cannot make up for their lack of defense. Now, I'm not saying Brunson doesn't try on defense. He probably does try really hard on defense. He's like 5'10". It's impossible for him to go up against maybe somebody like Cade Cunningham, putting him in an action, any elite guard, and actively guard him 100% effectively. So I'm not dissing him fully. If Brunson was the head of this team and they had a good defensive unit behind him, maybe they could do something, but they have Cat behind him. Cat notoriously has always had bad defense. He makes horrible judgment calls. He's always in the wrong spot, it feels like. And his communication is horrible. I mean, there was a report last year after the playoffs that a bunch of Knicks staff and players were mad at him because he was just all over the place. The Timberwolves built a lineup around Cat. They built, they had Jaden McDaniels, they had Nah, they had Rudy Gobert behind Karl Anthony Towns. But the Knicks don't have that, and it makes me really mad because Cat has all of the physicals to be a semi-competent defender. And because of the 3 reasons, and there's many more reasons that I can't really get into, this team will not win a championship. The New York Knicks will not win a championship with this core. I mean, if you disagree, let me know why. Let me know if I'm missing something. I don't think that once Josh Hart comes back, this will all just be patched up. I think their issues run deep, and again, I'm not trying to hate on the Knicks. I just don't believe that they can win a championship. They are in my pretender tier, and honestly, I have the Boston Celtics over them on winning the championship. Maybe I'll make a full video on pretenders and contenders in both conferences, but that's for another day. Let me know if you liked this video. Let me know if you agree with me, disagree. Let's have a good conversation. Thanks for watching, and peace.